Alright, Nanta, so today we are going to be going against the very hard melee no affiliation guild quest. We recently just had this like less than 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point. That was also with the nightmare difficulty, so it's a lot easier this time around given that we're only going against the very hard difficulty. As always, before we do start and showcase the teams that we are using, let's have a look at the most used characters here. In this case, the top 5 almost makes sense. I'm very surprised to see Gin not in the top 5. Like, he's easily a better lead than most of the characters here. I would probably say like 3rd, 4th best lead for this particular phase. Unfortunately, I can't showcase him in this video. There's actually quite a few characters that I don't own. These 4 characters on your screen in particular are great characters to use in this particular guild quest phase. I just don't have them, so I can't really demonstrate how good they are in this particular phase. But Yuha being the most used character does surprise no one. And then we have a look at the most auto-played characters here. Once more, characters make sense. Soifon being your best team booster, Kisuke being a premium option, Byakuya also being a good side, Maid Orihime, I think she's always going to be top 10 most used side character because that's how good she is as a support. And not a love for Yami, but then again, maybe not everyone has him. I know I don't. Either way though, for our first team, we're going to be using the best team that I can possibly make. And it's probably one of the better teams that you can make if you just replace this particular Kisuke for the new Wonderwise. Wonderwise is a great character for this particular guild quest. That's why they brought it back so early. And while, you know, Yuha is going to be carrying this team, he's going to be doing a lot of the work. Wonderwise can really make or break a team depending on the lead that you do have. If your lead isn't as good and you're relying more so on the size to do damage, Wonderwise is a character you definitely want to have and definitely does speed up the process of beating this particular quest. But Yuha, in his case, we're going to be using these 3 particular accessories. We're going to go with a mixture of recharge, full stamina damage, and also strong attack damage. Remember, we do remove the Transcendence, so we only have level 10 SP. And for bonus abilities, we have given him full stamina damage and also SP. Our main normal attack damage dealing character is going to be Kisuke. We're using a golden chappy hollow bait builds with 3 normal attack damage soul traits. Again, we have removed his focus slots to only level 10 attack with full stamina and also attack as bonus abilities. Although keep in mind, in Kisuke's case, despite him being made for GQ, he's not immune to burn. Now for my particular run, that really didn't matter all too much, but if you do find your Kisuke dying, or maybe you're not doing enough DPS and you need him at full stamina, well, you might want to give him some type of immunity through bonus abilities and maybe through links. And then last we have Soifon. She's going to be our team booster. This character is replaceable with Maid Orihime, 1000-year Blood or Byakuya. Soifon's just a good character to use here because she's a traditional normal attack damage dealing character while also providing the team with some good support with the boost SA2 and also barrier. In her case, remember we moved all the Transcendence, only basically level 10 attack, golden chappy hollow bait with 3 recharge and also full stamina damage soul traits. The idea here is that we still want her to do damage. That's why we're using the full stam, but we also wanted to keep the boost, and that's why we're also using the recharge. She has built-in recharge too, so she actually is able to easily stack that SA2. And of course, with bonus abilities, we've given her full stamina and also attack. With that said though, let's jump into the run. Alrighty then, so team number 1, it's very straightforward, right? Yuha just makes this so easy. Realistically, you could like use any side characters if you really wanted to, because Yuha does do all the work himself. Especially because this time around the boss is also, the final boss in particular, is a hard character. So with the fact that we do have a shield character in the form of Safui Soifon, we don't really need to worry about having strong attacks ready right from the get-go. But thirdly though, you want to make sure you have an SA2 or SA3 ready, or even SA1, because it does also do a bit of stalling, given that it doesn't have like the quickest animation. It's still a good strong attack, but it does stall for like a second or 2 on an enemy in case you are waiting for your SA2 to return. But essentially, anytime a boss spawns in, use your strong attacks and you're basically absolutely golden. In this case, because it was so easy, because this team is so good, I didn't even decide to use my soul bomb, which is definitely something that you should be doing if you want to clear the quest fast. So in this case, using 3 1 out of 5 characters without even using the soul bomb, we were able to clear the quest with like 35 seconds to spare. Pretty good team, right? It's expected this team's good. Yuha is an absolute beast of a character. Excels in quests like this, even though he can't even get a second soul bomb off, but that's fine because we still cleared with plenty of time left. Alright then, on to team number 2. Once more, you can mix and match the leads and side characters that we are using. Like, you could use these 2 side characters, Yamamoto and also Orihime, in the previous team with Yuha as a main. That might actually be better. In my case though, it's just to continue trying out different characters. This time we're using White as our main, Yamamoto as our side, and then Orihime as your team booster. White is using the exact same build as Yuha, Since they're both mind no affiliation characters, we can use the exact same accessories and also links. We removed all the transcendence, minus the stamina and defense, because that has no contribution to the run. And with that, we have full stamina and also SP as bonus abilities. Yamamoto, despite being a Brave Battle character, most Brave Battle characters have a lot of overlap with their usability in Guild Quest, and Yamamoto's no exception, right? Level 10 attack, he has the debuff on the SA2, and Flurry plus 2 as his damage output honestly is quite respectable as is. In his case, we gave him damage to lacerate and also attack. That's because that's what I use in Brave Battles. You could give him full stamina if you want to. That definitely works. But of course, with that, we've changed the build. Golden Chappy Chappy Hollow Bait with 3 normal attack damage soul traits. Very simple build on Yama. And then for Orihime, since she's just there to be the team booster, her damage output makes no contribution whatsoever. I've used the exact same accessories and links as we used on Soifon. As long as she has the recharge, she's doing her job, right? So with that said, let's jump into the second run. Alright then, so jumping into team number 2, what we are going to do right away is instantly use that SA3. It does group up all the enemies and also gives our best chance of inflicting a status summon, which we then do, of course, more damage since we get access to the 80% SP boost. Now, during the first and maybe even second, maybe even third boss, I kind of let Yamamoto finish up the boss by using his normal attack string. I probably could have finished up a tad bit faster had I just used a strong attack, but honestly, it doesn't make that big of a deal. You have plenty of time left over, right? Now, with that said, this team's actually relatively safe to use since you do have a lot of protection. Orihime, of course, giving you the +5 barriers, +3 actually for your teammates. But then also, since Yamamoto and 8th Anniversary White can both inflict lacerate, it does stop the boss from actually using strong attacks. Therefore, maybe it's hard for them to even destroy your barriers. You have to be a tad bit careful though. You know, they actually still can hit you, right? And maybe I think on the 4th boss, I was a bit unlucky with these stat summons. I didn't get an SP boost till right at the end. That did add, you know, a few extra seconds to the run, but honestly, it's fine because this time around, the final boss is a hard character. You have 2 mind characters. They do a lot of damage against the final boss. So much so, I decided to not even use my Sobom. Because my White is actually 5 out of 5. His Sobom would definitely hit significantly harder. So just to have that extra bit of proof you don't need the Soul Bomb, I just chose not to use it, right? Which obviously is something that you shouldn't be doing because he also can apply weakened defense. So using that Soul Bomb on any boss, whether you want to use it on the 4th or 5th boss, maybe it's better to use it on the 4th boss since you clear the 5th one fast as is. You do apply weakened defense and that lets you clear the boss significantly faster. So I would probably recommend Soul Bomb on the 4th boss. We chose not to Soul Bomb any boss and we still cleared with 6 seconds left. And technically it was a 2-character team since Orihime herself isn't doing any damage. Had you replaced it with Safui Soifon, maybe even Thousand Year Blood or Byakuya, you'd probably clear a lot faster. Moving on to team number 3, once more changing up the characters a tad bit. In this case, because Uryu and also White that we are using aren't really like the greatest DPS, you know, Uryu is still definitely serviceable. But you know, White, for example, is no Wonder Ice. If you have Wonder Ice in the team who does significantly more damage, you can probably get away without using Soifon, but I really do feel like you want to have Soifon on the team. One, for the protection that she provides with the barriers, but also since she herself is also doing damage, it definitely does go a long way. If you were to bring mate Orihime, I'm sure you might be able to do it if you still get lucky with stat elements. And to be fair, I didn't try it, so I don't know if it is doable without Soifon. I didn't want to waste the few tickets that we have daily though, that's why I haven't tried it like that. But this team with these 3 characters in particular, I do know works. And hey, I mean, Uryu's not like the, you know, the rarest character in the game. If you have him at level 10 focus 2, maybe you have him 5-5, I'm not too sure. Then, you know, this quest becomes significantly easier. But in my case, we do have him at 1-5, technically for the most part, right? Only level 10 SP. Sure, my Summon does hit a tad bit harder. But in terms of strong attack damage, which is most of our DPS, he is performing like a special level 1 character. So of course with that standard build, the Spirit Cane, Fortification Pill and also Sticker with 3 recharge and full stamina, strong attack damage, etc. For bonus abilities, we gave him full stamina and also SP, the standard. White Ichigo is going to be our normal attack damage character. Golden Chappy Chappy Hollow Bait with 3 normal attack damage soul traits. I removed his level 10 slot, so for the most part he only has 500 additional attack. And with that, we had full stamina and also weakened defense. I rarely use this character, haven't used him in a while. That's why he has weakened defense. Obviously, if you're using him, give him 200 attacks so we can do a bit more DPS. And then Soifon, the exact same as the last 2 runs. So one thing I will say, it's very awkward using gauge characters like this that don't start off the quest with 70% of it actually filled. So what you have to do here is during that downtime, you want to spam your strong attacks, right? You want to make sure you're building up the gauge as fast as you possibly can. And with that, whenever you're not using a strong attack, you're going to be using your normal attack string. You don't have to be hitting the boss. You don't have to like be close to the enemies. Just use it whenever you can. And preferably, if possible, you want to use the SA3 to activate the gauge so that SA3 comes back a tad bit faster. And also because it does do the most damage, right? Now, again, as you can see that I'm just using my normal attack string whenever I'm not attacking the boss. I decide to sub Gin and Izuru because that allows the gauge to come back a tad bit faster. And then with that, as you see here, I use my SA3. It does enough damage. When out into the final boss with most of the gauge actually active, we have like 8 or so seconds to spare, and all our strong attacks did come back. So I feel like nuking the fourth boss, is actually a lot better here. So you can go into the final boss with the gauge active, if not being close to activation. And you'll see here, right, we had, what, 13 seconds to spare. We used that SA3. If for some reason the final boss still had more HP, well, the gauge was just about to activate once more. So you have plenty of time on the final boss if you decide to summon the fourth boss. It pretty much allows you to get access to 2 gauge effects, 20 seconds to the gauge almost, against 1 boss. So you should be perfectly fine using this team. We did beat the first attempt. Not the fastest, 13 seconds to spare, but Oryu should be widely available. You might have him 2-5. If you have that level 10 focus slot, it goes a long way. And again, White is replaceable with a better Nad character that I don't own. That will significantly speed up the run and make this run even easier. And for our final team, I do have 1 extra ticket, but I want to use that for later for my own personal score. Again, there's a lot of replacement characters you can use here, right? You don't have to use these exact characters in the exact combination. You can mix and match the different teams that we have used today. But in this case, I thought, why not? Let's use Appa Ichigo, right? Quite the old character at this point, came out like almost 3 years ago. Can you believe it? But in his case, he is, again, special move level 5, but we have removed all the attack, SP, focus, transcendent stuff. He's not really like the highest DPS character, so if you do decide to actually use him, preferably you want him to be maybe max transcended, but also at the same time, you want better sides, right? You really do need Soifon on your team. She definitely does do a lot of carrying here, and any Nad character you are using, you preferably want them to be somewhat recent, like this Kisuke, Yami, and even the new Wonderwise. If you have them, yeah, this team definitely will work. So for Ichigo, we're using this particular set of accessories, the standard, right, that we have been using across all characters. We're going to mixture of recharge, strong attack damage, full stamina. Removed again all the important transcendent stuff, full stamina, and also weakened defense as bonus abilities. We maybe could have went with SP, that might be better, but since his DPS isn't like the biggest factor here, having weakened defense when you decide to sub him the final boss lets your 2 main DPS, that being Soifon and also Kisuke, do more damage, right? Kisuke is basically using the exact same build as the previous ones, right? Just Golden Chappy Chappy Hollow Bait. Again, you could maybe give him fire immunity. We didn't. It didn't matter that much. Sure, he does lose the full stamina, but maybe you get lucky RNG. Maybe he doesn't get burnt, and maybe you do keep the enemies in the middle in which he doesn't get burnt again. Most runs he will lose the full stamina, but there might be the occasional run where he actually surprisingly stays at full stamina, and then Soifon, the build has not changed. Alright then, so jumping into our final run, I probably want to preface right from the get-go is that all the runs you see here, we beat in our first attempt. So it's relatively straightforward, right? Sometimes maybe you have to get lucky on the placement of the strong attacks. Maybe you have to get lucky with RNG. In our case though, yeah, we had pretty much smooth sailing for every single team here. And that again kind of goes down to Soifon too, but having these battery characters really do help out quite a lot. So in our case with Ichigo, we're just using the strong attacks whenever we can. If we have an SA2 or an SA3 ready from the get-go whenever a new boss starts spawning, that's going to be absolutely amazing. The third boss was the power one, where we do less damage, but honestly, it didn't really matter too much. We were actually surprisingly clearing relatively fast here. I was relatively surprised how fast we were clearing, but on the fourth boss, which maybe can be quite annoying, lucky for us, Kisuke is a hard character, so he was doing more damage to them. Unfortunately, though, kept getting burned. That's what you expect, though, with Kisuke, since he isn't immune to burn. Now, in this case, we chose to use our summon on the fifth boss, since that does apply the weakened defense. And maybe we got a tad bit lucky here, but Soifon did activate her status summon, which does actually stop the enemy in place, paralyzing them, where at that point, we don't have to worry about taking damage. And at the same time, since the enemy's stuck in place, we're all doing our damage back to them. And in this case, we cleared with 15 seconds to spare, so there's definitely a lot of leeway with this particular team, I would like to say so. Any focus slot on any of the characters definitely speed up the process. And remember, we also do have the new affiliation bonus where my account might be getting more stats than yours. And maybe that makes a difference. I don't know. I can't remove it. But I mean, it's not like we were using the craziest team to begin with, right? Either way, though, that's the video for today, using 4 different teams. Mini no affiliation guild quest, not the worst one out there. Most of these teams actually work for the Nightmare difficulty too. You would just need more Transcendence investment. And remember, there's plenty of other characters that you can use that I just weren't able to showcase today because I don't own them, right? Characters like Gin make for a good lead or even a side. Byakuya surprisingly is being used as a main. I wouldn't recommend it. But you know, Byakuya is a decent side when paired with Gin or Thousand Year Blood War Yuha. Yami is a good side character too, dealing more damage than Kisuke and is actually immune to burn, so he has the advantage there. And again, also Wonder Wise, the newest character if you pulled in the most recent mid-month. I mean, he's an absolute DPS machine. No side character can compete with Wonder Wise's damage output. So if you don't have a good main, having those better sides definitely will help out. And Wonder Wise is a premium character, so if you pull him sometime in the future from summon tickets, maybe he comes back in a banner in the future as a filler. I mean, you know, Wonder Wise ain't the most exciting character, but you will be happy to have him because he is definitely a meta side character for this particular guild quest. Either way, hope you enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Take care and peace.